Bonjour à tous, je vois Herminia en ligne. Est-ce qu'on peut tester rapidement ton micro, Herminia? Micro, caméra. Tu as les commandes un peu comme un Teams en bas de ton écran. Bienvenue Nina. We're going to switch in English. No stress all. We're just doing the quick technical check. All right. Parfait. Herminia, can you read me?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Perfect. Camera is perfect. All right. So that was just the first quick check. We're going to check the other ones. You can go back to hiding the camera for a few minutes. All right. Probably Nina, who is alongside me in Hotel can try the camera as well. If you want to test your camera, we'll probably share the same mic though. And so there. Yep. Christopher has joined. I can see you. We're gonna try out Christopher's microphone and camera as well.
It's
This way will be
all
all checked. Yep. Bon. Parfait. There was a small Larson, but we're sorted. So Christopher, I think you should see an invite on your screen. And we're just testing out the mics and cameras of everyone at the moment. All right, so Christopher, I'm not seeing you joining. I'm gonna reshare again the invite. There's a big button you should be able to see right now, and then connect your mic and camera for a quick check with us. All right, so normally, Christopher, you should have the button again showing up. Let me know if it doesn't show up. There's a small chat on the corner right. Sorry, we're just saying one. The system doesn't support further actions. All right. Hello, everyone joining us. We're just finalizing the technical details with Christopher that has trouble joining us with his current system. In the meantime, don't hesitate to introduce yourself in the chat. It's on the corner right of the screen. And let us know a bit more about your startup or institution. We have a few guests also from Charité joining today. And we're sorting this out with Christopher. All right. Keep introducing to yourself to each other. We might have to have Christopher on a separate system. I'm working on the contingency plan. It's coming in a minute. And as we speak, we're still letting some people joining us. We're 17 persons today. I'm going to be really glad to introduce you to some of the speakers in a minute. We're just solving this issue with Christopher, mic, and camera. All right. So, dear participants, I'm going to switch a bit the program. I'm going to introduce the program, and then I'm going to connect my screen to have Christopher Baum with us because there's a technical difficulty with the live storm mic and camera. Though he is also online and on the chat, and will be able to interact with you all. So thanks again for joining us today to this Medical Biotech Europe program. I have on my left side Nina Rognon from APHP that will introduce herself at the moment. I have Herminia on the screen that you can turn your camera on. That's perfect. So in the first part of that webinar, we are going to dive with those institutions, Berlin Charité, APHP, and Institut Imagine about how to collaborate with those healthcare institutions and discover a bit the topic of those specific models for collaboration and explore other opportunities with them. On the second part of the webinar, we'll be diving with Céline Trickel from Servier about collaborating with pharmaceuticals, and then we'll keep you online the startups from the program to dive into the face-to-face days and the rest of the program details. So today with me, we have Nina Rognon, Deputy Executive Director, Initiative Hôtel Dieu. We have Professor Christopher Baum, where I'm going to share my screen with Teams in a minute, so he'll be with us in a minute. Herminia Rubino, Head of Industrial Partnerships, and Trickel, R&D Head of Open Innovation of Servier, that will join us later on for the next part of the webinar. So that webinar is the kickoff of the Medical Biotech Europe program. You'll be able to hold all your questions about the program at the last part of the webinar and focus your questions to the institution and Servier today while we speak. So bear with us for the program question, and I hope that you have a lot of questions for our institute and key players today that are online. I'm now going to do something a bit tricky, that is moving on to share that presentation, to share my screen, and let's see if I'm making it happen. All right. Now you should all be seeing Christopher that is going to speak to you through my mic. Christopher, I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and Berlin Innovation Health Institute at Berlin Charité?
Sure, and I hope you can hear me well. So my name is Christopher Baum. I'm an MD by training. Today I lead the Berlin Institute of Health, which is a government-funded research institute with a budget of around 100 million euros per year that is functionally integrated into Germany's largest university medical center, the Charité in Berlin. And Charité also happens to be one of the biggest academic medical centers in Europe and belongs to the top 10 worldwide. So my own career was strongly influenced by my interest in developing new medical therapies, and I was one of the first postdocs in Germany who spent his entire career in the field of gene therapy, cell and gene therapy. So in the course of my work, I filed a few patents, founded companies, helped developing other companies, and went through almost all the steps that you could consider to be relevant in a translational value chain, including clinical trials and large international clinical trial consortia, predominantly in the field of rare diseases of the hematopoietic system, immunodeficiencies, and also in cancer. So we developed gene vector technology that is also today used in CAR T cells, for instance. So I continued this work in the basic and translational gene therapy field for like 20 years. And then I switched for the past 10 years entirely to science management. And since 4 years, I now lead the Berlin Institute of Health, as I mentioned. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can share with you some insights first of all, into the specificities of the German basic and translational research landscape, some specific things that you need to know about Germany when trying to develop your therapies in our country, and also trying to develop your companies in our country. And I will also want to share with you some insights into the good things and also the dark sides of the German system, so to say. And I'm really interested in also reaching out to you to learn more from you, what you consider is important, and because I strongly believe that we need much more exchange when it comes to developing good procedures that support translation. Yeah, that's for what I wanted to contribute for the moment, and I hope that finds your interest.
Nice, Christopher. And I think for the technical reason, we're probably first going to dive into the German insights with you, and then let you go with these teams afterwards to be back with Nina and Ermina on the lifetime setup. So I have a few questions for you, Christopher. The first one is, what's the usual German healthcare system structure? If we had to explain it from a US perspective or an African perspective, I would say that from the French perspective, you've been fast on digital therapeutics. You were stronger, faster than France, probably a year ahead, and we could learn from you in that regards. What are some high-level specificity of the German healthcare that us international with this court should have in mind? Just the key aspects, maybe, to start with.
I think the best aspect that we have in our healthcare system is that we have a very strong tradition and also a very well-performing healthcare insurance system. So everybody in Germany has a healthcare insurance. That also says that if you would be able to analyze data from healthcare procedures that are also then known to the insurances, that you would have a perfect overview of what's going on in Germany in terms of healthcare quality and quantity. The problem is that in Germany, the system is very fragmented and redundant. So there's no centralism at all. We are a federal system, and also many of the insurances don't share the same technologies, and the same is true for the university medical centers. They don't share the basic technology principles, so it's very difficult to come up with procedures of data integration. Over the past 10 years, we've addressed this, and we have new laws in place and also now new technologies in place that help developing a more uniform data landscape. And while that occurs, there are very many strong development centers, both for digital sciences and biomedical sciences. And out of these many environments distributed all over Germany, we have a couple of new innovations originating. And what we have done in Berlin, for instance, is that we started like 5 years ago a new program, a digital health accelerator. And this DHA program actually works quite successfully. So we launched like 10 companies in the past years, and have also the top one startup company launched in Germany when it comes to attracting Series B funding in the field of digital medicines. This company is known as AI Agnostics, and they recently have announced that they start with other world leaders such as Mayo Clinic and NVIDIA to develop foundation models for digital pathology. So it does work if you find the right people. In our system, you can launch successful companies. The difficulty is that the landscape still is very fragmented, and that we have no uniform approach that can be rolled out all over Germany. And us, the BIH, is working heavily with other places in Germany to exchange knowledge about successes and failures in translation, and try to develop a more national, more centralized, a more integrative procedure to learn from each other, and to learn from the best successes and also from failures, and then to develop new very specific procedures supporting founders very early in their career. We also entertain very strong talent promoting programs, such as clinician scientist programs, where clinicians have free time allocated for 3 years in a row. 50% of the time they can spend in research projects. And what we are currently doing is to inform them as early as possible also about more product-oriented thinking, not just knowledge-oriented thinking. How can you convert knowledge into real products that help patients? And that is something where we also are still in a learning phase, how this is best done. And for instance, we have reached out there to other partners in the world that have started successful programs, such as Spark in Stanford, or Accelerate, Redesign, Collaborate, ARC in Sheba in Israel. So we are very much interested in methodologies that help supporting translation. And even in our institute, we have a whole division that is just investigating translational methodologies. That hopefully that suffices for the moment to get an idea of what we are doing.
Yeah, no, this is really great. And the participants will be lucky to discover this whole ecosystem on the 7th of March during the face-to-face days program. And then I remember we mentioned that on the 10th of March, when we'll host part of the French version of the program, some of the Berlin Charité teams should already visit us. I know there's an April visit to also learn from our respective ecosystem. And that the 10th March evening, we can dive into such models, methods, a practical approach to, have this institute have a great transactional research, collaboration model, efficiencies. Maybe to conclude with the German perspective, and I'd say teaser, because we are going to dive into those specificities during the 7th of March face-to-face days. But what would be some of the hotspots Berlin Charité, wants to collaborate either with spin-offing technologies or welcoming key solutions and startup within the Berlin Biolabs Charité environments? Can you name a few of the hot topics you're currently exploring for the startups, knowing that we range from startup in medtech, biotech, tech bio, AI, that goes from rare disease to bone implant innovative solutions. So we will have quite a crowd of 12 startups, facing some of the common challenge like those hospitals and institutions face that we're visiting. But I'd love to hear from you, the priorities, let's say.
Yeah, so when you want to reach out to Charité, you would find almost for any field in medicine a strong partner. So we are very strong in the field of neurology, cardiology, oncology, pediatrics, rare diseases, whatever you think of. Also rheumatism and inflammatory disorders and infectiology are strong in our place. As typical for the German landscape, the things that are going on in the University Medical Center are flanked by very strong, independent academic research institutions outside the universities, Max Planck Institutes or Helmholtz and others. So you typically also find very strong basic researchers in our ecosystem. The problem that you may have is to find an orientation, whom to contact, who can open the doors for you, whom to recognize in the first place for a first contact. And there we have a program in place at Charité BIH Innovation, CBI, which is our tech transfer office. And that program is called Match and Connect. So that is maybe the best way to get an introduction to our ecosystem if you are working for or responsible for a known company, be it a startup or an established company. So through this program, Match and Connect, we explore your interests and then try to find a match in our ecosystem for the specific interests that you have, be it a scientific question, be it a clinical expert, be it a regulatory advice, whatever you are interested. So that would be my first offer, and we can send further information out how to contact the Match and Connect office.
That's really great. And during the rest of the session, where you're welcome, to stay and interact on the chat. On the bottom right of your screen, you'll have some questions also from startups that are probably addressed to you. And don't hesitate to answer by chat. Like, we're going to switch back to the technical environment of Livestorm, but I'm grateful, Christopher, we could have you on screen and online for this first teaser about the Berlin ecosystem and Berlin Charité. And I must say, I'm super excited to join this program myself, because disclosure to the startup is going to be the first time I'm also seeing this environment that was recently launched in collaboration with Biolabs at Berlin Charité. So looking forward to be with you on March 7th, Christopher. And in the meantime, stay connected with the questions. There's other folks from Berlin Charité also that can introduce themselves in the chat if they want. And we'll meet all of that crowd the 7th of March. Thank you, Christopher. I'm going to disconnect the teams. Stay with us in Livestorm. And then let's go back to our environment, technical environment, for a second guest. I would and could go to a PhD directly, but I think Institut Imagine is something really interesting to disclose to our international startups, because it's a unique, institute. Hermina, can you tell us a bit more about yourself, your role in the institute, and what Institut Imagine does?
Yes, so thank you, Christophe. So actually on my side, so I'm Hermina Rubino, so I'm glad to be here and discuss with you. So I'm head of industrial partnerships in Institut Imagine. So I will explain you in a while what we do and which is our unique structure, integrating research and clinics. So I think it's a good way to go to a PhD afterwards, because we are really in the middle between from fundamental research, translational research, and clinics. So on my background, like very rapidly, I'm a PhD by training. I started with genetics, and then I moved to a PhD specializing more on genetic diseases affecting the immunological pathways or the hematological pathways, with some impacts on infectiology and cancer, because as you know, these systems and also rare disease are very much connected with much more common disease like infections and cancers. And then afterwards, I decided to switch, so to let's say leave research without really leaving it. So I stayed in the innovation ecosystem. So I specialized in business development and how to accompany projects to spin out from research institutions. So right now, it's actually more or less what I'm doing in my current position in Institut Imagine. So I have in the team different people working either like before actually partnering with industry. So we will speak probably a bit about it. And we have a big focus on investments and how to accompany our researchers and clinicians to better speed their projects, their innovative projects, and actually make of an idea a real project for patients. And then other people actually doing the interfaces with industry, either like via industrial partnerships, but also private public grants, which are quite a common way to collaborate with industry in France, but also at the European level. And then like last part is creating spin-offs. So the Institute have a real focus on, and also a will to create startups, spin-offs from our laboratories and clinical services. So we have programs accompany researchers to get to that goal. And we accompany our spin-offs in the first phases, in which, as you may all know, the help from an institution having also access to patients and clinics is essentially key for product development.
Really great. And we're gonna move, if that's okay with you, Nina, to a quick introduction to your role within APHP, the particular object that is at Atelier also that you had the innovation for. So how did you start with? It's a tough role. APHP being something massive in Europe for those that don't know about it yet. Nina, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Christophe. Nice to meet you all. I'm Nina from APHP. So I'm part of APHP, this large organization which is gathering the Paris University hospitals since 3 years and a half. I have a background in the health tech industry. I've been working also at digital pure players before. And I'm heading one of the innovation platforms of APHP that is turned toward the collaboration of startups and digital health. And maybe a quick intro about APHP. It's a quite unique institution, I think, in Europe. It's the largest university hospital center in Europe. We gather 38 hospitals in the Paris region, which is 8 times, I think, the size of the number of Charité hospitals. We treat over 8 million patients a year. We gather around 80,000 beds. This is for the care part of our activities, but we also train, of course, doctors and nurses. And we are a major player when it comes to research and innovation. And I'm more working on this part, as Christophe said. At APHP, research activities and innovation activities are more and more different activities. I'm on the side of innovation, having an innovation platform that is dedicated to share our needs to the ecosystem of companies and especially digital health startups. We also we do not want only to share our needs, but to work with startups and companies to help them co-develop with the healthcare professionals their solution to make sure that the solution that gets to the markets are fit with our needs, the needs of our healthcare professionals, of our patients. And we have a strong focus on working on adoption of new technologies and integration into our workflows.
Yeah. We are lucky, and you see that on March 10th, to be at the heart of one of the hospitals, the 38 hospitals of APHP, Biolabs Hotel 2. So Nina is just the floor above us, and we get this direct link to the innovation team of Hotel 2 that is also preparing for the entire hospital the flagship of the digital care journey transformation for both the patients and all practitioners. So it's a flagship for APHP. It's also a flagship for us because what is going to become Hotel 2 is also a 10,000 meter square accelerator at the heart of that large hospitals with practitioners and patients still being welcome in the hospital, which will make it the largest European biotech and health tech accelerator in a care environment. And we're spoiled. We're by Notre Dame, as you'll see when you visit during the face-to-face days. So we're really lucky to be that close with Nina and collaborate on a daily basis. And the question is going to be open to both Hermina and Nina. Maybe a practical question. How should a startup wanting to collaborate with Institut Imagine or at APHP concretely, reach out? What could be the practical, let's say, starting points? I can see we are eager from the startups to get the links mentioned by Christopher. So we're probably going to wrap up all the links and contact details so the startup don't wait to be with us on the face-to-face days to start collaborating with you, of course. So maybe, Amina, you want to start with this question?
Yes, yes. So actually, as I briefly mentioned before, so we are an institute integrating research and clinics, but we also integrate innovation within the institute. So actually, from the beginning, the idea was more a centralized vision on rare disease, because I mean, as you know, in some countries, but even in France, in other regions, there are different institutes and hospitals actually quite scattered in the landscape. And this obviously makes difficult to reach out sometimes, as Christopher mentioned, for Germany may be the case sometimes. While in our case, like the fact of having all these teams in the same institute, in the same building, facilitates making contacts. So we have actually one, let's say, one-stop shop model in which my team, so the industrial partnerships team, is the one door to be taken by industry partners, both startups in particular, but also larger pharma. So I will be happy to share also the website, our website, and our contacts in the chat. So it's quite easy actually, and we build around the institute different programs and different reference for the different programs. So we have programs in rare disease, obviously, but in different kind of areas, such as immunology, hematology, nephrology, neurology, cardiology, and so on and so forth. So you will have one reference for each of those programs, facilitating the fact that these reference actually know very well the teams and the clinicians working in the thematics, so can help you also orientate on which would be the best team or the best clinical service to contact.
Super clear. Maybe, Nina, something we could dive into is some priority area for PHP. It's like probably what Christopher said, there's expertise on many fields. So you'll find like many participating doctors and active doctors wanting to explore innovation. But what will be some top challenge in the moment?
I think that the French healthcare system is facing, like most healthcare system in the world, crucial challenges that we are struggling to keep up with the ever-rising needs of for healthcare. We face systemic staff shortages, something that is maybe specific to France that compared, for example, to Germany. We do not only have a shortage of doctors, but also of nurses. If you compare the number per 10,000 inhabitants, we have roughly 80 nurses for 10,000 inhabitants in France, while I think it's more like 170 in Germany. So we have this very specific nurse shortage. And of course, we are also facing financial resource constraints, like many other healthcare systems. So we have this urgent need to renew our capabilities to face those challenges. We are very interested in moving from a system of punctual intervention in the healthcare pathway to a real continuum of health. As Christopher mentioned, our system is also, like Germany, quite a fragmented system. So every solution that helps us to coordinate different players along the patient care pathway are, of course, very interesting. We are also into a solution helping us to move from primary care to secondary care. We also have to build more capabilities to take care of our patients. We are today limited by this model of in-person medicine. We are very interested in blended care models where patients can not only have in-person interaction with the healthcare system, but they can also interact remotely with the healthcare system. So basically, remote patient monitoring solution are something we're really looking at. And then we are also interested in working on the burden of care for patients and healthcare professionals. We want to move to this system that we call minimally disruptive medicine. We are interested in any kind of technology that can help us to make the care pathway less of a burden for our patients. So I think in the field of remote patient monitoring solution, it's a top priority for us. Any solution that can help us to work on shortage, efficiency of our organization is also a top priority.
Maybe Arina, you want to share some of the top challenge, for the rare disease and Institut Imagine focus on your side?
Yeah, actually, like on our side, so I would say, like I completely, I completely agree with all what's said from Nina's side, because like we are kind of farther than PHP from actually actual patients, because they coordinate all the clinical trials activities also for our institute. They are one of our funding members. However, I think also we have some challenges that are they come before care, and which are essential, especially in the innovation ecosystem. So for us, actually, and in the rare disease landscape, I think there are two axes that are crucial to explore today. So the first one is actually go beyond genetics. So we have seen in the market many innovations, such as like from small molecules, classical small molecules, to new gene therapies that are targeting mostly coding regions and mutations which we find in coding regions. While I think the future and also our strategic acts in the next 5 years will be to explore beyond this coding region. So go to technologies that help to modify or to impact or to ameliorate patient phenotypes thanks to manipulation of transcriptome, epigenome, proteome. So that would be an essential area to explore, but also to leverage new modalities. So we have seen the explosion of RNA therapies with the COVID vaccines. So I think also this is a great opportunity for rare disease, not to impact and actually go straight forward to genome modifications with toxicity and other associated problems that can come from this kind of techniques, but have RNA that compensates some disease phenotype. And I would say the last part is also on non-viral gene therapy. So we know that with like Bluebird developments and other companies, the viral vectors are working somehow, but on the other side, we have a huge need of alternatives for technology helping us delivering genetic modifiers or genetic products without using viruses. So that would be also another area of interest. And last but not least, I would say artificial intelligence, you mentioned, Christophe. So I think we have the chance in France to have an healthcare system, which actually for rare disease is quite, I would say, efficient. So we have these reference centers, which constitute a national networks for rare disease, and which are connected to the European reference centers for rare disease. So it kind of creates an environment in which actually we can have a huge mass of data, and the integration of research institutions and clinical centers also make us able to generate new kind of data. So we can think about transcriptomic data, epigenomic data, proteomic data. So I think that the challenge in the next year will be multimodal integration of all those data, because for now we kind of analyze in silo this kind of data, but the integration of all of them is very challenging. So whatever technology helping with that would be also the way to go in the future.
No, that's great, and I think you sparked some questions already. So definitely we can take questions along the way, or at the end of the session. We took enough time for all questions to be answered, but one that was addressed to you and that I'll probably mirror to Nina right after is, can you say more about the interaction types, between the startup and the institute? Is it patent sharing, equity strategies, or fees of funding, all of them? Like, can you maybe summarize a bit the different approach you're having at the institute?
Yeah, so actually, I think the best way to answer this question is to stay flexible. So I think actually France have suffered in the last years of some rigidity linked to IP and share IP and IP schemes that were a bit maybe old-fashioned. Like looking at the other actually European states and UK and US, I think also that kind of schemes of collaborating with startups needs to evolve in the coming year. So reason why actually the Institute is trying to develop different programs that can adapt to different kind of situations and collaboration mode with industry. So I would say the first one is the most classical. So the one in which having expertise and resources at the Institute, we are a kind of fertile ground for startups to develop their products. So in that case, we can work either like as a service agreement scheme with actually not share the IP, or like if there is a really intellectual contributions from our researchers, and actually this contribution is needed sometimes from early stage startups, for example. In that case, we can really build a collaborative program. We also know and we see, unfortunately, that actually leveraging fundings, private fundings in particular, is very challenging at the moment. But I think we have the chance in France and in Europe to have a lot of grants, public, private grants that are available. So this is another way to collaborate with the Institute through either like grants at the national level or the European level or even international with NIH, for example, to kind of avoid to come back to the fact, well, a small startups does not have fundings actually, or not enough to really invest in innovation, but it's crucial for them to do innovation to kind of gain competitivity. So I think that's kind of collaboration is also not to underestimate, and it can also promote interactions with either institutions worldwide, but also industry partners and pharmas that are quite much interested to this kind of consortium scheme at the European level. And I would say the last one is more like it's an activity that actually we are starting. So we are kind of preparing the future for startups and eventually spin-offs. So it's a bit the other way around. So the need actually does not come from the startups of existing startups from external world, but comes from the laboratories or the clinical services. So in that sense, we are building an internal pipeline of diagnostic and therapeutic solutions that we can then either license directly to startups, either co-develop with them. So that it's another ground on which we work with startup companies, or eventually we help clinicians and researchers to create their own biotechs and startups. So in that sense, if it's a spin-off of the Institute, yes, we will take equities. And sometimes also we will accompany these spin-offs in different ways, and especially collaboration, sometimes for a long term, like to be sure that these startups, they don't cut completely the kind of contacts with research and innovation in the institutes, but they profit actually of the fact that the laboratory is still doing research, is still doing innovation. So it's kind of streamlines new innovations to their pipeline directly through their life.
And I'm mentioning that because I know some of the startups are in the field of rare disease. That's also a great interest of Christopher Baum and the Berlin Charité Institute. Obviously, we'll dive into those details on the 10th of March for sure, with the Berlin ecosystem and Berlin Charité. But Ampleia, we have the luck to have Ampleia as a resident in Biolabs Hôtel-Dieu with the venture studio of the entire Patients Association NGO Téléthon. There is also one of the founding partners, if I'm not mistaken, right, with APHP at Institut Imagine, and bridge the gap between this translational research to the market. So we'll have investors in the field of rare disease that are sometimes also rare to find to support the cohort during that program. Thank you, Amina, for those details. And in addition to opening the floor to Nina Probably Christopher, in the comments, you can also briefly summarize like what would be the type of preferred approach for Berlin Charité. I'm guessing there are multiple approaches as well. But Nina, what are some preferred approach with APHP, in the model? And maybe you already have some case studies or startups to mention in your description.
Yeah. I do not have much to add compared to what Herminia just said. The APHP model is 100% similar. We have the same understanding of the needs of the companies, I think. So we have, I would say, mainly two main collaboration models when it comes to startups. We have a very basic model where we value the expertise of the doctors working with you on a person per day basis. So it's basically fees that will be asked. Or we have a collaboration models based on public funding. We go to get together public fundings. France offers a lot of opportunities when it comes to public support, public fundings. And of course, as Herminia said, we have we work on building our own spin-off companies. So getting our doctors, professionals to build their own startups. And this is where we can take equity in startups. And as you said, Christophe, we have one example today of a company that has been funded by APHP. It's called Ecopen. It came from a public health doctor from APHP, from this hospital, actually, Hôtel Dieu, that is building today an ultrasound probe and digital services coming with it. He's trying to do it in a kind of a low-cost approach to make imaging more accessible to patients. And this is the very first time that APHP not only supported the development of a startups, offering access to data, co-development opportunities, but also funded the startups and took equity.
No, it makes sense. On our side, I'm going to send the ball to you also, Nina. We've seen that there's rarely a model fits all, that it's always a question of strategy and aligning interest, and that the best projects are where the interests are the best aligned with the common goal. So I'm seeing numerous let's say, variety of collaborations being now 2 years deep in the biotech ecosystem, where institute and startup managed, to find ways to make the project exist. So one thing I was struck with the APHP environment and Hôtel Dieu was during the celebrations for Ecopen, that is this portative ecography system below 1K euro that can first answer line in case of internal bleeding or some specificities like where you don't need the full ecography right away, and be in the future manipulated by other persons than just radiologists. That's also the goal, to expand this kind of early capability. So it's a medtech, and that's a question about digital therapeutics in Europe. But medtech, especially hard to find funding in Europe, let's say. The investors are not there a lot. We'll dive into this aspect on the 27th of February, other webinar with raising funds. And APHP changed its status, its very legal framework to be able to invest in Ecopen. So sometimes, institutes in France will try to find the right model. And if the right model doesn't exist, they will reshape the framework to make the model exist. So I was struck by this will to innovate. So Ecopen is clearly in Hôtel Dieu, one startup you meet and hear from on the 10th evening on the face-to-face days at Hôtel Dieu, where we'll finish with Apéro Innovation that will dive into this collaboration with institutions and pharmaceuticals. And that gives me hope as an innovator, as the head of Biolabs site director, to see that institution players are able to change the framework sometimes, to make things happen. It's really a positive message for the ecosystem. In France, it's likely in Germany as well, that Berlin Charité and other stakeholders, and you'll discover them also for the Heidelberg region, on the 6th, that institutes are willing, to make those collaborations and the ecosystem move forward. Maybe a quick question is, in environments like Biolabs, where we try to make the best of the, let's say, capabilities for biotech, medtech, health tech. So we remove roadblock for the science, we remove roadblock for your development, fundraising, connect you to the ecosystem, and help you accelerate. What could be even, let's say, better made together with such environments than what we are doing today. So we started the European Investor Day. We started this Medical Biotech Europe program with digital medical hubs and Hello Tomorrow. We'll have the team in a minute now at the end of the webinar to answer the startup questions. So we're trying to gather this kind of German, French knowledge. We're helping startups on a daily basis to raise funds. We're helping them, to meet you guys. What else could we do as a collective ecosystem, Biolabs, institutes, to push further the startups that we are not doing today? Because that program is also a pilot for ourselves to invent, new modalities. So open thoughts to Arminia and Nina, or maybe wishes within also that program where you'll be able to meet the startups on the face-to-face days on your side. Arminia, maybe you want to start?
I would say actually the thing that you mentioned about creating interaction is probably the key of all of that, because I think that the problem is not the capabilities or the fact that actually there are not enough institutions or enough expertise around France or Europe to help companies to develop their products. I think that the main point is really interaction. Sometimes people, they don't know each other. So that's, and also to orientate in actual environments that companies may not know very well. I think about, for example, European companies that would like to develop in France or like have access to French institutions. I think there, the creating interactions with those institutions is really key. And you mentioned another point that is very important is fundraising. So we know that it's also a crucial point for companies right now. So I think the fact of federating different kind of investment funds, especially at early stage, because there is the gap actually between venture builders that actually look more at the more mature companies with less risk, and research that is done in the laboratories, which is really high risk but high gain. We miss something there. So the fact of like seeing emerging new kind of investment funds, like for example Amplaya that you mentioned, it's really encouraging. So I think also integrating these kind of structures in these interactions is very important.
Thank you, Arminia. And we're going to make one of the best transition ever with Céline Tukel having joined us from Servier. But before we go on the transition that I have in mind, Nina, what else could we do, as an ecosystem?
I think it's really important that we build a shared understanding of the problems we want to tackle together. I think we may have been on our side, a PhD institution, maybe not so good at sharing our needs, constraints. I think we need to open up to startups and industrial players. And I think to do so, as you mentioned, creating interaction is very important. It will also help, I think, for us all to understand better each other. Companies have very specific constraints, hospitals have constraints. We have to understand each other to be able to work together. And in the end, maybe what I think is really important and that we see too often, startups or companies getting to the market with a poor product market fit, I would say, which is why we put strong focus on working with steps on adoption of technologies, adoption from healthcare professionals, and integration to the workflows of their solutions. And I think that to manage to do so, to work on this together, we need early interaction. We need to interact at the very beginning of a solution ID. and start collaborating. I think the sooner is the better.
Nice. And also same suggestion to you, Christopher. The floor is open to your suggestion in the chat. So as a recap, before jumping to our next angle of that webinar with Céline, let's say that the more connections, the better. So we're right on fit with this program that will make us discover this dynamic Berlin ecosystem, dynamic Heidelberg ecosystem, Plateau-Saclay ecosystem with partners by Servier, and the Paris ecosystem. So I feel with this French-German axis of health, we're going to have a good understanding of what's the potential of the general European market, but also one of the strongest one. Digital Medical Hub and Thomas Riquier that will be with us in the next hour at 3 p.m. Always says that if you take reimbursed market of Europe, you're even greater than the US, but they're fragmented. It's true, they're fragmented, and it's a challenge that is not going to go away soon. So the better you navigate with the right stakeholders, with the right approach and the right contacts, the greater you're going to be able to have positive patient impact and positive healthcare system impact, and be welcome in that European ecosystem for all the solutions you're bringing to the table. And on another note, we mentioned that during the first hour, we've have a different situation to collaborate. They're going to be flexible, have to align to both the goals, let's say objectives, and with the best schemes. So we mentioned some of the Imagine APHP modeling on Charité. For those who have seen the answer from Christopher's, definitely there's also opportunities to let's say collaborate, but finding the best key sponsors is one aspect. Either the key scientific expert or the key science leader is also going to be a really important aspect from those type of collaboration early on. The scientific excellence that those institutes are having in-house are going to be amazing to be both at your scientific boards or within your teams or for joint ventures. So there's really two worlds that are eager to be connected. And one last topic, the entrepreneurial mindset in healthcare is also progressing. So Institut Imagine, APHP, Berlin Charité are examples of that progress in entrepreneurial mindset in the science and healthcare environment. It's true for science-based, let's say, industries, and more, because deep tech is a strong foothold of the European region. But healthcare, it's really positive to see that happening. In France, we have schemes we'll dive into, like Article 51 and others, where you can see also that practitioners can really become part of the entrepreneurship journey and alongside with your solutions. So I'm all but excited to have this institute meeting your solution in the face-to-face days. And without further ado, Hermina and Nina and Christopher, thank you very much for the first part of the roundtable. I'm now going to make that transition I had in mind with Céline. So Céline, you'll open the mic in a second. We were saying right before you arrived, what else could we do better, right? We are these environments of research / industrial environments, institutional environments where Biolabs play with you all to foster those connections, to accelerate those projects. And as well as one thing that unites us, what can we do better? And one thing I think that is unique within that ecosystem you're going to discover in the Medical Biotech Europe program is that with Hello Tomorrow, Digital Medical Hub, and Biolabs, you get the right knowledge and partners to understand the market, to understand the expectation on that market, but also to be closer to the players that matter. Industrial players are going to be instrumental to the scale, to the growth, to the agility, let's say, of the scaling journey. Not the agility on the innovation parts, but the scaling journey. Definitely, they're going to be a good player. Céline, can you tell us a bit more about your role in Servier and partners, and what drove you to welcome such an ecosystem, maybe to start with, within the unique spot that is Servier R&D and environment within Plateau de Saclay. What was the initial motivation, Céline, and to introduce yourself within those two organizations?
Yeah, thank you, Christophe. And sorry, maybe I was supposed to come earlier, but I was in a meeting. Okay, fine. So yes, and thank you also for this opportunity to present our initiative here of Servier to have host his all R&D staff at Paris-Saclay. So I'm Céline Triquel. I'm heading the Open Innovation at Servier. Servier, a French independent company governed by a foundation, we have decided to move our French R&D staff in a unique space. And we have chosen Paris-Saclay for this vibrant environment. The fact that we are all around us, a lot of academic labs, institutions, hospital, because we have a new hospital at Paris-Saclay as well. We have also the PSCC environment, which is very rich for our main axis, therapeutic axis, in which we trust a lot and we invest a lot, which is the oncology. So the main two therapeutic axes where we invest are the oncology and the neurology. And that's why this PSCC ecosystem is also a good environment for us. So we have chosen this place, particularly Paris-Saclay, the Plateau Paris-Saclay, for that environment, very rich. And we have decided to open an accelerator, we can say, an incubator accelerator, thanks to the partnership we have with Biolabs, a very long-term partnership because we are working with Biolabs since many years with the golden ticket in Boston, in Lab Central, but also to have designed the site here in our accelerator and to now operate the site. So the site, this incubator is named Partners by Servier and Biolabs. And we aim to open our R&D to this cutting-edge ecosystem of the startup, the biotech that could benefit from our site, and ourselves we can benefit from our knowledge and ways of working, and etc. So the idea was really to cross-fertilize the R&D and the startup by having our own incubator operated by for us the best in class in terms of incubators, which is Biolabs, for it to exactly make the people meet, and we think that it's not in one sense only. This is really in two senses, because we by having the startup very close to us while remaining completely independent, we think that yes, we can discuss with them, and they can benefit as well from our expertise at Servier. And it works. And we have really success stories showing that it works a lot. For instance, we have welcomed half dozen of startups since the opening. So the opening was in May 2003. And the session that we organize to mentor or to discuss with the startup are very rich. And it shows that putting around the table experts from Servier, so in an industrial environment, and expressing the voice of the market, because finally Servier is kind of a final market for some biotech. It's very powerful, and it helps them a lot to fine-tune their roadmap, for instance, sometimes to shift their roadmap if finally this maybe they thought that it was exactly the good roadmap, but finally discussing with the expert, it turns out that maybe it's better to completely change. And it's exactly what have happened since the opening. And I think, yes, it's really key. The proximity is very rich for Servier and for the biotech. And I repeat that they are completely independent. So that's the noblesse, if I can say like that, of the system, because this is it's sometimes completely without searching a partnership or searching a business with a startup. It's just the fact that discussing each other, it's very rich for everyone. So My role in that ecosystem, yes, it's to ensure that the interaction between the startup at Partners and Servier are rich and are done while we can organize some events, we organize with Biolabs Golden Ticket, we organize a resident lunch with Biolabs, meaning that we want to mix the two ecosystems. They are independent, but it's important that they can be and stay connected at every moment. This is the essence of this incubator, is that it's embedded in the architecture of the institute, R&D Institute, even though it's independent. So, but we need to mix the two ecosystems to reach the goal, the final goal.
Yeah.
And sorry, go on.
So sorry, go ahead, Céline.
No, just to say that, yeah, it's really a willingness of Servier to enrich the R&D portfolio and technology by and through the external stakeholder. And the startup and the biotech are the best way to enrich our innovation in our technological platform. And we have the chance to have all the R&D chain, all the R&D experts of the drug discovery. And but it's important that we are connected to external and particularly biotech and startup and cutting edge startup to enrich our tools and our assets as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if I may touch on that, just a small parenthesis, like side note to what we're going to tell the startups at 3 p.m. But we're spoiled at Biolabs to be with quite complementary and unique location across Europe. So Saclay is the strong foot for R&D, definitely with like an animal access factory for the biotech, with all the R&D expertise of Servier, I think was promoting the end-to-end R&D value chain, plus all the institutes that are around that Servier is collaborating also closely with. So we had Institut Imagine joining Berlin Charité and PHP for the roundtable institution. And you'll discover on the 10th of March that Genopole and Servier are also really close collaborators with that environment for rare disease. So there's oncology, rare disease, there's top of the notch AI research and quantum research also on the Saclay field, where the institute like Polytechnics are situated in Saclay. So that's our strong focal for R&D and research. And then you'll discover during the face-to-face days that there's value in exploring different Biolabs models as well. One in Heidelberg with the strongest, industrial biotech of Germany, like BioRN and the dynamic Heidelberg region, and that translational expertise and hospital expertise and strong ecosystem within Berlin Charité, or with APHP, like the luck we have to be for all the sites plus us with a partner that is one of the world-renowned research hospital plus largest European hospital. So we're quite complementary in how to welcome startup in the French or German market, and with the expertise of DMH and a lot more that we'll dive in and remind you a bit at 3 p.m. We can really dive into those kind of best collaboration with pharmaceutical, best collaboration with institution, shape things to make them more efficient, because it's only been few years that we're working on those environments and making them off the ground. Servier is gonna make the grand opening of Partners also this year. Charité will. So I am honestly humbled by the work of the collective on a few years down the line for France and Germany, where we are ready to welcome top projects from the world and from the rest of Europe in France or Germany, simplify those installations with our environments, and simplify the collaboration and the fundraising. So being said, we are only scratching some of the content we're going to explore during the face-to-face days. But I had a few questions to you, Céline. So the first one is definitely, we know that on the pharma world, there is this say, be it in biotech or AI or medtech or STech, even the different pharmas, that it's way better to show me, not tell me. So what do you look for in a biotech startup, to be welcome in partners or be welcome for collaboration in Servier, biotech or medtech within your field of applications? And what are some recommendations you can tell already the startup today to get prepared for when they'll be with us during the face-to-face days to best interact, with the different stakeholders?
Yeah, there is two parts in the question. There is what we are searching for partners, we can say, and the other part is what Servier is searching in terms of partnership, which is not exactly the same because it's the Graal if it mixes the two criteria. But for sure, as I said, Partners by Servier Biolabs is an independent incubator, or accelerator. It means that the startup can come, and even though they are not exactly in the field of Servier, the only strong criteria that we have in the selection committee, if I say like that, is the human health. It's true that we have a very important value for Servier is the devotion for patient, is the devotion for human health, and we have built partners to help to take part in the innovation for patients. So for the moment, we stick on this criteria, on this strong criteria that it should be for innovation for patients. So it means either assets, new drugs or new therapeutic solution, or tools, technological tools, cutting edge tools to help the R&D chain to go and to accelerate the drug discovery, which is dramatically long for the moment and too long. So as soon as a startup is in this field, either a new therapeutic solution or a technological platforms, it could, they are welcome, in fact. And after having said that, there are some criteria, logistical or pragmatic criteria regarding the laboratories. If they need BSL1, BSL2, it's okay. If it's BSL3, no, etc. So, except that, we welcome any project that are a very important impact. So we look at the scientific aspects of the startup with the selection committee. We are not alone to select. In the selection committee, we have the BPI, Medicine, France Biotech. We have the TTO network. We have a seat for Servier and a seat for Biolabs. So we are not alone and we review with different aspects, scientific aspect, business aspect. So the Graal, as I said, is that a startup could be also in the therapeutic axis of Servier and more than therapeutic axis in the partnership axis of interest. Which is good to know for a startup when contacting us, is to look at our profile card that we have in our website, and it expresses with a very transparent manner, a very clear manner, what we are searching. So even though I don't know exactly by heart, we know that for oncology, we have a very clear roadmap and very clear roadmap of indications. For instance, brain tumors or cholangiocarcinoma or PDAC or things like that. So we have very, very clear, I would say, indication, because as a mid-sized pharma, we can't have a very broad, very broad scope of interest. So we focus on some hard to treat or very rare cancers, and this is very well explained in our website and in our profile card. The same for neurology. We are searching assets to help, particularly in a very rare case of epilepsy, and the same for some neurodegenerative diseases. And everything is very well explained in terms of assets. And the same for the technological tools, or we have plenty of experts, plenty of laboratories in our R&D chain. And at each step, we search something that could help us. So it means that we have plenty of things that we are for which we are open to collaborate with, and it's very good for a startup. And that's my key. And the tips I can give to you is to look at this profile card. It's very clear, very transparent. And if you think that you are in as a biotech, you are in this area, it's very fine and very easy to contact us. So we have the phone contact and the people that are particularly responsible for this access. And what you have to know as a startup, as a biotech, is that we are very well organized to discuss with the startup, meaning that it's really a scientific staff which is at your contact when you contact us. Mean that we have an organization where people are searching some opportunities all around the world. So spontaneously you can contact us, but they are searching you. You have to know that they are searching this opportunity that are very well explained in the profile card. And when you are talking to these people, they are very well, they are searchers themselves. They have an entrepreneurship mindset as well. So it helps a lot to enter in contact and to go fast, and to go at the essential. And when we are discussing about partnership, very soon in the process, we put the business development in the loop. It helps a lot also to enter into a partnership discussion, if I can say it like that. So the tips clearly is to look at our website, to be very well aware of what we are searching in terms of therapeutic axis, assets, therapeutic modalities, and it will help a lot. It sounds like very obvious, but you can't imagine how many times sometimes if you contact us for a dermatological assets or something, there is no sense, but it's very preferable to be aware and to be curious of what Servier is searching about. We are always happy to discuss with new innovation in the field of innovation. Everything is very fascinating, but it's clearly better if you stick to the essential. Having said that, we are open to opportunistic or serendipity, if I think like that, meaning that everything is not in the roadmap. So what we are very I can say strong criteria is the therapeutic axis. We can't, but in terms of modality, sometimes we can be seduced by something that was not in the roadmap, but we are searching also some very out of the box or yes, we can say out of the box a new idea. If we are blind to what is not in the roadmap, we can miss something. So that's why we are open to plenty of things. So my best tips is to be very clear to what Servier is searching, and also happy to maybe to for instance for the new for an asset portfolio. Sometimes we prefer to have some late stage or sometimes early phase. So everything is very well explained in our profile card, and it's good to have that in mind. Yes, that would be my main tips. And also after having said that, we are open to plenty of different kind of contracts or kind of partnership. Not only I would say a deal like acquisition or something like that. No, we have plenty of different types of contracts. For instance, a proof of concept phase, a pilot phase, where we pay for that. We pay for to see, and as we can imagine that it's a workload for the startup, we pay for that. And if we are happy, we can go further. Which is very good with a pharma, is to go step by step. You can maybe imagine that a pharma has money and they have time, and but it's not exactly what we are. The way we are thinking. In fact, we have very strict, I would say, budget, and it's important to de-risk your solution. By definition, a startup is not on the shelf, so they have to prove that their solution is working. So sometimes it's good to enter in the negotiation or in the contact by agreeing to have a proof of concept phase, and then go step by step, and to de-risk, because the pharma, we don't like the risk, which is antinomic, because by definition R&D is a lot of failure and unfortunately not a lot of success, because we know that a lot of our projects don't go to the market. But when we are discussing with external actors, we don't like the risk, so it means that we can go step by step and de-risking the project like that. So it's maybe another tips that I don't know where is your project, but sometimes it's good to de-risk and we are open to that, and to work as like in a sandbox, to work with you and to de-risk your project.
And I feel like that you covered extensively what I had in mind with this question and the modality of collaboration. So that's perfect. One thing I would want to dig into is your secret mind or secret sauce within your selection process. When you see a biotech startup or a health tech startup with AI on one of your fields, what's going to make you feel that startup is on the right track, going to be successful, creating a lot of trust or early confidence in their approach? Can you give a bit of that secret sauce you've started to build over the years of sourcing and analyzing these collaboration and interfacing?
Yeah, maybe I will be very obvious, but the data. So first, the team. We all know that the team is key. We have to enter into a trusty relationship. So for sure, we are human, and we want to work with humans. So human relationship is always very important. But having said that, it's not enough. So when we are discussing with a startup, which is very important, is to prove what you are saying, even if the thing is not ready yet, or it's good to be very transparent. If you don't have the results, that's fine. So, but say it. And we can work together to reach the data, the results, and sometimes it's good. We know that the startup is has not all the knowledge, and we can work together. And it goes with the first criteria, so the trust and the confidence. So it's good to prove your results. If you don't have the results, be transparent, and then we can go together, hand to hand, and work together with a proof of concept. That's why I'm talking about proof of concept. And I don't know if I have the time for that, but I have a success story, for instance.
We have until 3. You were right on time. Like we were supposed to start at 2. We started at 2:01. So no worries. We're here to dig into those details as much as possible and be the teaser, on the face-to-face days. So we'll go more into those details, introduce you to some of those success stories and players. Like I'm speaking to startups, but definitely share one. And also because we finalized the list yesterday of Startup of the Cohort. I mentioning that to everyone, but the participants, startups are going to be introduced to all of our partners of all the sites and the days face-to-face. The program I'm going to show you from 3 to 4 to you guys, startups, is only going to be high level of those programs, because with Céline and site director Laura that you'll meet at Partners, we craft the Saclay partners like half day, same with Hotel Dieu on the afternoon, with Nina and our partners on the afternoon in Hotel Dieu on the 10th. So we're going to dive into those topics, but this webinar is really an introductory part. And Céline, without further ado, what is that story, that success story? I'm not sure I even know it.
So I have until 3, you say, just with me. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So, and I have 5 more questions. We are not obliged to go to 3. We'll move forward on the program, the face-to-face days, and the discussion.
Okay.
For sure, but please be.
Okay, so that story. No, but just to say that, for instance, I have in mind, just to illustrate what I've just said. I remember a work we had with a young startup I think I can say the name. It's Biolabs, and we have met them. They were very early, and at that point they had nothing in the shelf. I would say it was just okay. Just a project and just a project of solution, but it was not a. I will not be very at ease to say exactly what they are doing, but whatever. This is just to tell you that we have entered into a proof of concept phase just for 3 months with very frugal budget. It was not huge things. They just wanted to prove what they were able to do, and to prove that the team were strong, solid, and that we can trust them. So we have done that into a phase of 3 months just to prove that people can understand each other. People from Servier and people from Epigen can, yes, understand each other and work together. And that the final MVP, if I can tell it like that, was clear enough for everyone. And it has perfectly worked. And at the end of the 3 months proof of concept phase, we said, wow, okay, we really want to work with this startup. But without this phase, we could have said, okay, I'm not sure. They are very, very early and fragile and etc. But just with 3 months, we said, okay, go, because we have the confidence. We have enough confidence. And after that, we have entered into a very more, I would say, expensive period. And we have accepted, I think, a very fair partnership where we have co-developed and pay for that. Sorry. And pay for that for development, the co-development of their solution to be very tailored to our need. But it was a risk because we could have paid for nothing if the startup have finally failed or died before the end. So it was a risk, but we think that we have de-risked it with the proof of concept phase. So we have paid for the co-development, and then we had a free license period to compensate the fact that we have paid for the development. And now we have renewed the contract with a more expensive again period. So that's why I say it's really successful, because we have taken the risk. Finally, it was not so much a risk because we had a proof of concept phase, and finally it's now a long-term relationship with this wonderful startup. So, and it's not the only experience we have, but yes, that's why I say it's important sometimes. If they didn't have the results, but we had this proof of concept to prove that okay, we trust in them.
No, that's a good point, and I may do another divergence here to address to the startups. We know in the 10 to 12 startups that are joining the program, there's going to be a difference of maturity, some with a totally mature solution, but for a specific market, like Brazil and the US. Well, you'll discover that the specificities of France and Germany might require you, even if at the super mature stage, that those de-risking phases in France and Germany could be relevant to go faster and then expand a mature solution. So it's always a matter of qualifying, that solution within the partner's environment, objectives, goals, and business model. I want to stress that we had a question on digital therapeutics. Your case study makes me raising a memory where this year on all the tech bios and AI companies of Hôtel Dieu, we could see a trend to have business models that are about sharing the risk and the value on the different stage early on. So that means that pharmaceutical partners will tend to pay just the working cost, no margin at the beginning, and then expand progressively into win-win solutions, shared value creation that is really objectified with the right data, with the right milestones on those projects. And because AI is something that's still an obvious solution at the end. We know it's going to be at every step of the drug development and to the patient care, but it still needs to be defended for an adoption at specific phase. So that trend of making the risk early on and then be rewarded with a freemium or free time of licensing versus those AI companies and tech bios that are taking into the approach of win-win situation and shared value creation on the way is also something that we, let's say, observed as efficient to move the conversation forward. This way, there's transparency, shared risk, shared rewards, and efficacy in the collaboration. So that's going to be stuff we're going to dive for all of the startups, be it on the oncology world, AI world, medtech world. Some are doing super innovative bone implants. So we'll adapt on the face-to-face days those case studies and the experts to tailor, let's say, some of the interesting collaboration with the Institute and our pharma partners for you. But you raised a really good point, and that brings me to another question. Actually, I had this success story. What are the key advantage you find as a pharma to work with startups? You know, be they early or more mature. Why do you love to work with those, right? And just as a disclosure, pharma in the biotech world has been one of the strongest, let's say, partnership makers since the 80s, since the rise of Genentech. So healthcare was really equipped and culturally driven to collaborate early on compared to other industries and other deep tech topics. So yeah, what motivates you, you know, and what you look, let's say, as advantage within collaborating with those startups?
I think because it's vital to innovate for a pharma company, particularly. This is the essence of our industry, is to innovate at any moment, and we invest more than 20% of our turnover in the R&D, and so it means it's a lot comparing maybe to other industry, and we can't. I don't know if it answered the question, but we can't do it by ourselves only. I mean, we trust in our R&D chain because we have all we have the chance to have all the R&D drug discovery chain in our own building, in our own facilities, and so we host this chain. We don't outsource everything. We have all the experts, but we know that for each step of the drug discovery, we need cutting edge technology, and it can't come only from Servier, from our our own staff, and so we are very open to that because we had very successful example that the new idea by definition comes from the startup, because that it's a continuum from the fundamental research, then a good idea can stick to the market and comes up and pop up from the academic labs or wherever, and that's very rich for that. Maybe more than in our staff only, because in our staff we are very focused on the efficiency. We are how I can say that we have focused on the delivery and maybe less turn into the innovation and very innovative new idea, new paradigm and etc. Where the by definition the startup comes from something very new, coming from academic labs or whatever, and they turns that into a solution for us as an industry. So by definition, we can't dedicate enough time for innovation by ourselves only. We do it. We have plenty of people in our R&D staff which are very oriented to innovation, etc. But it's true that by definition we are turned into our own delivery in our project. So I think it's the perfect mix, the perfect complementary mix to work together with startup for that. They have a new idea, and we have the data, we have the sandbox to work together and to play together and to enrich and to success together, in fact. So I don't know if it's particular for pharma, and maybe it's, I don't know exactly for the other industry, but for pharma it works very well. And we know that tomorrow the portfolio will be probably half from, we can say, from our own research, if I can say like that, and half from the external actors. So
well,
that's huge.
That's a huge KPI. That's a really interesting angle. To one last question I wanted to raise, but I also would want to open the floor to the startups. Don't be shy. Keep coming the questions for Céline, Servier, and more general pharmaceutical collaboration question within the framework of France, Germany, or Europe. And my question actually goes to a regional aspect of, let's say, the strategy for Servier. Do you adopt or not strategic regional approach to your collaboration, in the portfolio? So Europe versus Asia versus US. And do you see some difference in those regions and maybe some cultural difference also? Because we're going to have startups coming from Brazil, Poland, US. So cultural difference is going to be also at the heart of our discussion during that program, with the best way to collaborate with the French market, the German market, and the French and German cultures within Europe. So any takeaway on that from the Servier point of view?
It's true that there are some specificity geographically, we can say, but in terms of really cultural difference or particularity, I would say that we are completely adapted to that, because our R&D currently is not only French. We have plenty of clusters all around the world. We are present in dozens of countries in terms of R&D teams, and particularly for our research team, we are from Boston with we have a team, a chemistry team at Budapest in Hungary. We have people in China. We have people. So I would say that this is not so much a topic or a concern. In fact, I don't see really. I can't really elaborate on that. I think we have a collaboration today with people from Boston. It's key that sometimes we try to have a collaboration with neighbors. So we have collaboration with people, with startup from the ecosystem of Paris-Saclay, or because it's close. So it's easier for sure to enter into partnership when we are close, always. So, but it's not the only, I would say the only criteria for sure. So at my level, I don't see so much a difference. We have partner with plenty of part of the world, and I think that's not so much a concern or an issue, except the proximity. It's always good to be at a moment to be close, to understand each other and to interact again, iterate again, etc. So that's just a question of geography, I would say, more than really cultural.
It makes sense. And while we wait for other startup question, if any, I had another one maybe. Where do you see the collaboration with startup heating up? We've had the Sommet de l'intelligence artificielle in France this early week, co-organized with India. We could see that AI is going to be a top priority for the region. I'm guessing it's a top priority for every pharmaceutical as we speak. Can you enlighten us with some of the trends that the pharma might go into with the pharmaceutical context, and maybe also again the US versus Europe context? That could be interesting to have your point of view on that for the future of collaboration.
Yeah. In terms of AI, we have a very strong roadmap regarding AI and the way we can leverage and we can use AI in also a lot of steps in our R&D, from chemistry, in silico things, organic chips, etc. We have plenty of use case that we have put in a very huge roadmap, meaning that we are searching a lot of solution to accelerate this, as I said, this very long process of drug discovery. And we estimate that we can maybe decrease from maybe 15% or 20%, which is good enough, the drug discovery journey, thanks to the AI. So it's our role today to search a lot of collaboration, and we have collaboration with Okin, with ATIA for digital twins. So or for academia, we had plenty. Would say we have collaboration with startup, and particularly for the drug discovery journey. Also. For the clinical part, we have a collaboration with Clineo, which is a startup that help the connection between the patients that would want to enter into a clinical trial but don't have the network or don't know exactly the good medical doctors. So Clineo is a kind of platform that helps this connection. So, or I can talk about Jam Park, which is more in relation with the health, how we say, the health journey for Parkinson patients, using biomarker from the tremors, thanks to the app, and it helps the follow up of the patient and the good adherence of the treatment. So all around this long chain of R&D, we are searching the AI solution at plenty of these steps, and that's really topical. And I can tell you that the roadmap of AI just for R&D is very huge. In fact, it means that we are searching at any moment, and we are very trusting that pharmaceutical company must use AI, because for instance, just talking about omics, you can imagine if you want to map you can imagine the number of genes that you have to map. So you can't do it by without AI. In fact, so to analyze the things, to train a system and go faster, we really need this new technology. So yes, we have. And we have collaboration currently to search a new target, for instance, or yes, this is really topical today in our R&D to work, and we have entered with a different startup into partnership for that. So really, really, really topical.
No, thank you very much, Céline, for this highlight. And I feel like, compared to what Nina and Arminia and Christopher were sharing earlier on the institutional world, institution might not have yet this kind of clear profile card on what they need, what are the topics, what are the opportunities also. So that's a great first start for any startup joining the programs to dig into Servier's topics and be prepared for the 10th of March face-to-face days. Maybe to conclude, Céline, and give you some time back at the end of this afternoon, two last questions. Could you briefly remind startups what are the typical Servier startup programs, maybe in addition to partners, just so they have that in mind. If you have a link, we'll share them with them as well. They can start also interacting with you before the 10th of March for sure. So that's one thing. And what would be a recommendation for those startups joining us from either Europe and Poland and Germany and France and other European countries, or Brazil and US, to take the most of that European, Medical Biotech Europe program with us? Any practical recommendations, before joining us from the 6th to the 14th of March, landing us all together at Hello Tomorrow? So those two questions to conclude, if you want, Céline.
No, but clearly, which is very important, is to be very well prepared and know what the pharma company that you are in front of you are searching. Also, I said it's very obvious, but finally not so trivial. So being very well prepared and know who you are in front of you. And that's exactly the same that we as a pharma need to be as well. This is the same advice that we need to be prepared when we go into a B2B meeting with a startup. That's fair to be. To be curious and to be interested in what are searching the startup. the program that we have with startup in general, I would say that we are since many years. As I said, we have the program with a golden ticket at Lab Central, with the fast program also in Los Angeles. So we have we try to take part to the entrepreneurship. I would say we have entered into several programs of mentoring. So with without any, I would say, behind idea of having a partnership, just to help the entrepreneurs. So either you search a partnership or mentoring. We try to do both. In fact, particularly for sure for startup from partners, but we can also help through different Wilco program or through Incuballions as well. So I think that's good to know the ecosystem where you are putting the foot. For instance, at Paris-Saclay, we have created LabioTeam Paris-Saclay, which is a continuum of offer for biotech from the ante-creation, I would say, until the scale-up. So with Incuballions, we can help you to put your business model on the top and goes to investors until the acceleration of the R&D and until the scale-up phase with Cadence. So at each steps, the LabioTeam is a collective of 4 different accelerator incubator, like so Incuballions, Partners, Genopole, Cadence, and we are there to help you at any moment of your journey to find the exact best place where you can maturate. At the moment, it's maybe preferable that you go to Partners, but maybe at the moment you want to grow and it's good to go to Cadence, for instance. So just enter into contact with us because we can explain more and elaborate more about that continuum of offer. We have taken the part, I would say, the initiative to not be competitors between each other, but to be collectively complementary, and to help the biotech to be successful tomorrow. So, so the tips is really to be prepared and to be very curious of what we have to offer in Paris-Saclay or in Hotel Dieu in Paris. So just take your ear very open because we have plenty of things to help you at any moment. We have a very huge network that can help you.
Yeah, that's really great. I feel like I received one last question that I'll open the floor with you and we'll dig into that during the program because it's a question by itself. Data is going to be a particular topic in Europe, in France and Germany with GDPR, and you mentioned that data also is the cornerstone, on creating the trust, creating the proofs early on for collaborating. So if you had any last advice on startup about that data angle, France to Germany, from a pharmaceutical point of view, what could it be? Like, what's your takeaway on our market? Because it's true that it's one of the elephants in the room. We're not digging into this one today. It's going to be during the face-to-face days and the Image and Hello Tomorrow coaching for sure. But do you have any last recall for that aspect?
Yeah, it's maybe a bit of repetition, but I would say transparent data and transparent results. It's fine with if everything is not known and in your journey, but and we can generate data together. But just ask for that, and don't try to hide or to oversell what you didn't reach. In fact, so. I think the best advice is to be transparent and not try to hide the things. If the data is not generated for the moment yet, it's okay, and maybe we can work together to generate in a proof of concept phase, for instance, in a sandbox. So just be transparent. Because otherwise we close the door. If we realize that finally this is not. We really don't like that, in fact. That's obvious.
And that's the angle that you're putting yourself also on the line in the co-creation and the collaboration to gather those data. Pharmaceutical have a unique capability to be already connected with KOL, with institutions, and we'll be able to open the door to data generation. So thank you, Celine, for bringing that angle. Startups won't be alone trying to get patient data or anonymous data within France and Germany. There will be schemes to support startups to go on building, data, relevant data for the solution. It might not be always the patient data, but generated data. There's also a huge field with generative AI that is starting on being really relevant for generative data. And part of that, we have lots of tech bios and players that have managed to gather top database, on top topics that are of interest to everyone is this group. So we'll also connect you to those startup peers that will be shared capabilities. Thank you so much for your time, Celine. I think we've dug into all the key questions we wanted today, and it's only the scratch of what to expect on the 10th of March with all Saclay partners, teammates in the Plateau de Saclay, and all the ecosystem stakeholders you mentioned.
Behind me. I don't know if you see it. It's behind me.
Nice. And we'll gather, top players regarding your fields. We're going to tailor the guest invites to the startup crowd for sure. So I'm going to free your time, Celine. You're going to be able to follow a bit, what's going to be happening in the program, but of course, free to go. We'll send last question your way, and otherwise catch up soon. And thank you again, Celine.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm pretty available for next.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, Celine.
I'm here.
Sorry, I just realized I cut you. You was gonna say that you're here. You're here in multiple days. I was gonna say, since we'll be here on the 11th of March at the Biolabs European Investor Day on the 10th of March. For sure. Thank you very much, Celine. And I'm gonna welcome on stage my teammates. Some of them are with me. So let me look at the list. We're having Avinash that's gonna join me. We're having Thomas that's gonna join me. In the participants, you're having some of our site directors and site colleagues from Heidelberg, from Berlin, and from Partner Saclay as well. So Laura and Christine, Hélène, Alessandro, thank you, Anaïs, for being there and part of that webinar. We had some colleagues from Berlin Charité today that were also discovering more about that program. So just to make a brief recap before everyone is joining me on stage. So you've been invited. You should see a button in front of your screen and be joining me. Thomas, Avinash, where are you? All right, you guys are getting ready. So that's perfect. Johnny, when you can and when you are able to. So that program is aimed to help you decrease the time to market in France or Germany. We'll plug you. You're coming physically. That's also super smart. That program is aimed to make you meet the best key opinion leader from Berlin Charité, from APHP, from the BioRN cluster region, and pharmaceuticals. We'll dive into practical information during that program and practical workshop to explore those topics. And I'm going to go with something the startup are going to discover for the first time, not only the high-level webinars, but the face-to-face days, what it's going to be. As a reminder, we'll be together in Heidelberg the 6th, then Berlin the 7th, then Paris Saclay Partners in the morning, and Hotel in the afternoon on the 10th. Don't leave us on the 10th afternoon yet, because we'll have an evening and cocktail with the entire healthcare ecosystem. I'll tell you more about that. Then we'll be able to connect you with a unique two unique formats that are the Biolabs European Investor Day, gathering more than 80 top VCs, CVCs, from Europe, and the Hello Tomorrow Investor Day and Global Summit that Avinash will mention some more info about in a minute. Hello Tomorrow and DMH will be able to provide mentorship guidance. You've seen all of that, but that was just a reminder. And we'll all gather at the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit 13 and 14th after those sequencing. So I might open the floor to Avinash to let us know a bit the Hello Tomorrow Deep Tech Investor Day and Global Summit that are happening at the end of the face-to-face program and the last market analysis. While I will be digging in a bit more details in the first days of the program, but Hello Tomorrow, for those who don't know yet, needs to be introduced by Avinash, of course. And that part of the webinar is still being recorded. So if you had to jump from the webinar, don't be worried. You'll receive the recording afterwards. Avinash, you want to say a few words?
Definitely. Thanks, Christophe. So, hey everyone, I'm Avinash. I'm part of the team at Hello Tomorrow. I work specifically with the startup programs, and more specifically, I focus on the side of the startups. I work with them through the whole application process until onboarding, and throughout the program, I'll be keeping in touch with them to make sure they're getting the most out of the program. So, for those that don't know, Hello Tomorrow is a company that focuses on deep tech. We organize several events throughout the years, such as the Global Summit, which is our flagship project. This year, we're expecting about 3,000 attendees from all around the globe. And these are a mix of government innovation agencies, corporations, investors, startups, and all of these to create this whole ecosystem of deep tech innovators and investors here in, who'll be meeting up here in Paris. And so, for those in the program, as mentioned in our previous calls, you will get access to the Hello Tomorrow Investor Day, which will allow you to connect with the investors that we have in our network at Hello Tomorrow. As I mentioned before, we will be sharing a platform where you'll be able to see the investors that will be attending and book your meetings with them. We will also help connect you with the ones that would be the best fit, depending on your focus area of therapeutics or diagnostics and so forth. Now, for the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit, this is a 2-day event held here in Paris. You will get access to the event on both days. On the first day, there isn't anything scheduled for the program, but you'll be able to go and meet the different corporates that have booths there, and you'll also be able to attend the different sessions. On the second day, the Medical Biotech program will be having its demo day, where you'll be able to pitch your startup on stage in front of the different corporates, hospitals, and investors in attendance. So this is really your moment to shine, and this is really something that we will be helping you prepare for, whether it's building your business model, building your pitch deck, or just getting ready to tell your story. So that's a bit about our side of the program, and I'm happy to pass it back to Christophe now to tell you more about the other side.
Thank you very much, Avin. So I'm going to walk you through the high-level moments, then the days, and then I'll hand over the mic to Thomas for some specific workshops that the Digital Medical Hub is going to deliver during that program. So first of all, we will connect again on the 27th of February to meet some of the VCs that you'll meet during the face-to-face days. But remember, this is the largest European gathering of VC in the biotech field and healthcare, probably of the year, because with the combined network of 500 investors, including deep tech and biotech of Hello Tomorrow, and our Biolabs network of more than 80 top VCs, CVCs in the field of biotech and medtech in Europe, gathering the 11th in the French top research institute, CNRS, will have you sorted for raising fund and getting to meet those people. So you'll be participants during those events and be able to get the contacts of those players. The pitching and demo day is at Hello Tomorrow on the 14th morning, but at the Biolabs European Investor Day, you'll be participants only, just so you know. There will be also R&D Pharma, the decision maker from the entire Biolabs network. So just to name all sites, we've got AbbVie, we've got Amgen. I'm trying to be by the order of the letter. We've got then Ipsen, we've got then Novo Nordisk, we've got then Pfizer, Servier, then I'm forgetting some of the German partners we have with Heidelberg as well, and we'll type them in the chat in a moment, but lots of pharma partners around that day as well, top VCs. Then on the 6th of March, we'll be meeting in Heidelberg. So that means we arrive on the 5th evening. Everyone is free to organize their schedule as long as they're there during the face-to-face days. We'll suggest an informal drink on the 5th evening in Heidelberg for you guys if you want to join. And have you covered for the days of those session with the catering. The rest of the cost of the trip is all yours. So we'll be in Heidelberg meeting the ecosystem. I'll show you the program in a moment. 7th of March will be in Berlin Charité, and there will be other interactions and workshops that will have in a moment in the detailed program. Two workshops with Thomas on the 10th of March will be in the morning in Saclay with partners by Servier and Biolabs and the Saclay stakeholders, and then Biolabs Hotel during the afternoon in Paris. So for that day, we'll get you sorted with the bus on the morning and between Servier and Saclay, and up to the catering of that entire day, to the dinner and network that will happen with the healthcare ecosystem on that 10th of March. We'll have again a session that Thomas will introduce in a minute during the detailed days of the program. 11th, you'll be with the Biolab European Investor Days as participants. It's part of the DTech Days that are also really relevant events during that week. 12th on the Investor Day Fellow tomorrow, and then 13th and 14th at the Global Summit. 13th of March will be an open day for you to enjoy the content and the network of the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit and stakeholders, lots of them. And then we will have a follow-up session with Hello Tomorrow. So just to let you know, in Heidelberg, some of the people you'll meet, obviously Anne-Christine, the site director, and some Biolabs resident companies. We'll also have one session from Hello Tomorrow to remind you of what's coming next. Probably Dimesh will join during that session because it will be practical recommendation for you to get the most of those moments. We'll have moments with the Heidelberg Innovation Ecosystem players, Julia Schaft, André Domin, Andrea Slepfried, Katarina Fox, Katarina Klotzbach. You will be able to check that presentation afterwards as well, in addition to the recording. So BioRN, Technology Park Heidelberg, Health Plus Life Science Alliance Heidelberg Mannheim, MedTech Cluster Mannheim, Cube 1 and Cube X41 Mannheim. So top of the stakeholders within that region for all your topics, be they biotech, medtech, health tech. We'll have a lunch with an extended part of that ecosystem and some local VCs and some local pharmaceutical. Then we'll be leaving, we'll have a Heidelberg City of Science Launchpad for Startup and SMEs introduction, the local and regional financing programs and welcoming programs for startups, and then leaving around 3:30 max. We're super close to the train station. You'll see in the mail recommendation Avina will send you after that program that there's either a train or a bus, 4:07 or 4:15, that will make us to Berlin before 9:15 p.m. We'll suggest you some hotels that are nearby Berlin Charité. Evening will be open. We'll probably have an informal drinks all together on that evening, and then we'll be ready to be back at work again early, 8:30, for a workshop. And off we go. Thomas, do you wanna introduce a bit that workshop, medical business model and product market fit? What is it? be but.
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. Very happy to meet you again. So this workshop is, as the title is, focused on two main pillars of your scalability program. It's based on the medical business model from one part and the product market fit for the other part. It's a matter of precision, and it's also a matter of connection. So for this first workshop, we will deep dive into very basic Canva model, but dedicated to new startups and how to leverage big and relevant contract, not too much heavy about operation, but sufficiently enough to get you fuel for with some new money and revenue in all very specific topics with good experience and what in French and Germany other startups did by the past that fuel them their business model efficiently. So basically there will be three parts. The first is based on what is your indication, intended use, and how to lever a revenue stream. The second part will be the consolidation of this with deployment cost, for instance, or R&D engagement of your team. And the last part will be an open discussion with other startups.
And then we'll have a tour, we have a welcome by Professor Dr. Christopher Baum, you've met today, and an overview of the Berlin Innovation Health and National Strategy for Health, and some of the collaborative options dove in more details. We'll see the Berlin Institute of Health Clinical Accelerator and some of the projects hosted over there and testimonials. We'll meet also with the Berlin Charité Digital Health Accelerator to learn more about the digital solution aspects for patient care and modalities for collaborations. We're gonna have the regulatory team diving into some of the local national challenge. We'll network with great stakeholders from Germany again, including funds, including pharmaceuticals around the Berlin Charité Institute and other research institutes. Then we'll meet with Berlin Partner, which will be able to give you all the tips and details to be connected in Germany and do business in Germany and in Berlin in particular, and hear from a very interdisciplinary institute, the MDC BIM SB, that has lots of collaboration going on with lots of institutions. So that's really unique as collaborating with institutions to get their perspectives and tips and contacts from that world. And then we'll go back to a practical workshop before leaving, and there's many options before I hand the mic to Thomas for that workshop to leave and either go to Paris for the weekend early, stay in Berlin and get to connect with the Berlin ecosystem during the weekend. You'll be free to do whatever you want. I'll then introduce you when we meet again on the 10th. And Thomas, can you tell us a bit more about the scientific committee, and that workshop?
Scientific committee is the other pillar beside of business model and product, which opened the door. As the other speaker told us before, networking and KOL activation is the way to enter properly into the ecosystem of innovation. So build it properly for the long time, on the long run, is a key aspect of your own business. So that's why it's important to understand first the business model at the end and in between, because there is revenue before market authorization, and to have it properly done with a good relevance, market fit, and trustability, then you need a scientific committee because there is data and regulation around it. So this will be the goal of this workshop, to design it properly, to make it on the long run, and to give you some insight from the previous expertise or experiences we got.
Thank you very much. And then we'll meet 10th of March morning, 8:45. We'll fine-tune the details, but be ready to leave 8:45 for partners by Servier and Biolabs in Saclay. Take you by bus over there. The program is being designed to your needs. So just know that you're going to meet top Servier stakeholders regarding your areas of collaboration, somewhere on oncology, somewhere on neurodegenerative disease, or more the metabolism topics. So we'll fine-tune the players to the startup courts. We'll then meet the residents to hear about the infrastructure that is providing, and also some of the insights on the French market from those residents. It will be true with Heidelberg or Berlin residents as well on the face-to-face days. We'll have a networking lunch with all the key decision makers from Servier and the Plateau de Saclay and partnerships around. Then we leave to Hotel Dieu and have pretty much the same afternoon with Hotel Dieu, APHP, and pharmaceutical partners around Hotel Dieu. So with partners by Servier and Biolabs, it will obviously be the top Servier stakeholders, and with Biolabs Hotel Dieu, top Ipsen, Pfizer, or AbbVie stakeholders that are our partners, Novo Nordisk, Amgen, during that afternoon, in addition to the relevant KOL and players from a PHP. It was a short webinar, so Nina didn't go into all the details of what they're doing with digital healthcare, with collaboration as an hospital, but either in digital healthcare, medtech, biotech, you have really relevant people to meet during that afternoon. And you'll stay with us for the Apéro Innovation that will be in English. That will be another session with Charité, APHP, and all of Pharmas this time. So Servier and Céline will be among the rest of our partners to dive into success stories, like what happened, how did it work on different maturities. This way you'll be able to grasp, some of those specific challenges that you're going to face with your different maturities. And on that occasion, there will be already some investors that are joining us for the other moments that are the Investor Day, Biolabs European Investor Day, and then the other ones. Avinash, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Christophe, there are some questions in the chat regarding the physical events. So for the first one, will there be virtual sessions for the event in Berlin and Heidelberg for those that are unable to attend?
So we'll probably be in setups as a small group that can sometimes be in conference rooms, but I would suggest that maybe another member was joining Hello Tomorrow with you, and that you can split the effort to send some people along, because being face-to-face is really going to be important to get those contacts, to meet with them. And as you visit Europe, why not spare a few more days to use this unique occasion and moment really to be on site to do business. So some of those days will be able to be accessed online or afterwards, but not all of those days. So that's really a recommendation that as much as you can, you attend, but otherwise you'll still get all the contacts, all the people that were there, all their mails, all the recommendation that have been shared during those days. So that's my short answer. All right, perfect. So I'm not going to dive into details, like you're here because you've heard about the program, learn about that program, but maybe just to wrap up and conclude, Hello Tomorrow has this unique network for deep tech and moment with the Hello Tomorrow Summit and network for you to accelerate in France, Germany, and with a more European/worldwide perspective on the 13th and 14th of March. So it will be Europe first, but then the rest of the world, 13th and 14th, within that program. Biolabs on our side, as we said, and as you've understood, we're kind of the WeWork for biotech, medtech, and healthtech, and design super friendly, welcoming, and performing innovation ecosystem at the heart of industries, research hospital, or R&D centers across the world. We're in 17 locations, and in this program, you'll be able to discover European footprint and presence, and otherwise we're in the US, in Japan, in Canada, and looking at other countries. So you'll access or a strong European network. And with DMH, what I loved about starting this program pilot is that Digital Medical Hub is a spin-off / emanation of APHP. So know from the heart the challenge of institutes and the challenge of startups, be they spin-off or coming to the French market, and are here situated in Biolabs Hotel Dieu, helping startups every day to have their market positioning right, market product fit right, pricing right, strategy right, clinical studies right. So that's going to be the healthcare hat expertise within us, where Hello Tomorrow will be the investment / general pharmaceutical and corporate and business world connection, and will be the biotech / health tech experts on the connections for you and your business. So we believe all together, the three of us, were really strong to serve your goals within that program, and that we can wait to meet you during those face-to-face days and all those great moments, and on the 27th of February for the next webinar on that program. Without further ado, if there's no more question, I feel we've covered a lot of the topics today. That recording is going to be available for you to look back at. I will send practical recommendation to get you prepared to get the most of that program, and enjoy the French and German networks that are truly really motivated at this moment of the decade to solve some of the greatest healthcare challenge together. So looking forward to have international players and stakeholders coming along to help us solve some of those challenge, meet new European neighbors that we haven't met yet, and excited about those few days in discussion onwards. Thank you very much for your time, and see you soon. Next events will be given in details by mail and invite. Thank you again very much.
Bye-bye.